Thank you for joining us for the news review on the AM show. A number of matters on my mind, and shortly we'll be joined by Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, who is a political scientist and also head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. But I've been thinking about the utility service providers, for example, saying that they want to up the ante, they want to increase their charges. And it's on the back of realistic things happening. Fuel prices have gone up, their cost of operation have also gone up. So realistically, you would expect that they would want to inch it up a bit. But on the other hand, you put side by side the economic circumstances we are all grappling with. The fuel prices and the increasing cost of everything from food to services to even purchasing credits is not only impacting them, it is impacting ordinary folk like you, like me. So how do we mitigate the situation? And that's where the PURC comes in. But if you look at the performance of some of our SOEs, the abysmal performance, I might add, over the years, and the fact that we want to sustain our core state-owned enterprises like the Ghana Water Company Limited, like the Electricity Company of Ghana, which are bleeding, by the way. Can you imagine it? When Dr. Asah-Asante joins me, I would like to find out from him how he feels. My own alma mater, the University of Ghana, owes ECG up to about, 33 million Ghana cedis. What are the interventions from governments? And because it is semi-autonomous, the finance ministry has been in debt, the Kotoka International Airport, among a plethora of state agencies. Some thoughts just running through my head this morning, but I'll be addressing those with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante when he joins the conversation. Well, let's start with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Boss records profits 2 years running. That's according to the managing director. And this matter has become topical and polemic as well. That's the word I was looking for, because they are putting profits, yes, but we're also looking at losses over the years, and we're wondering, are we actually making profit per what SIGA put out? But let's get into that story. It's on page 16 of the Daily Graphic newspaper. So it says, Boss records profits 2 years running, and the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited recorded profit before tax of 9.84 million Ghana cedis for 2020. That was against the estimated 30 million Ghana cedis recorded for last year, and the loss, and here's where it comes in, of 158.47 million in 2019. The managing director of Boss, Edwin Provençal, said the positive profit before tax obtained in 2020 and the estimated positive outturn for last year implied a massive turnaround of the operational fortunes of the company. He therefore described the 400 million Ghana cedi loss reported in some circles as erroneous. And he spoke to the Daily Graphic and said he showed the 5-year revenue and profitability audited position of the company, which indicated that the strategic oil storage company recorded 632.65 million Ghana cedis of revenue in the year 2020, with a corresponding profit before tax of 9.84 million. But why should we even be here? Why should we have, these disparities? What SIGA is saying, what Bost is saying, the devil is always in the detail. Well, let me say a very good morning to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Doc, can you hear me?
Good morning.
Right. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Right. I was just sharing my thoughts on, the power producers or service providers, utility service providers, ECG, Ghana Water Company Limited. They are all saying we need to increase our service charges, basically what you pay for water and what you pay for electricity. But at the same time, we have quite a number of issues to grapple with when it comes to the economic situation. Right now, people are battling with so many things. So where the PURC will land, that's where the problem is. What is your quick take on that? They are saying we must increase because our cost of providing the services we provide has gone up, but at the same time, the ordinary Ghanaian is also bleeding. Doc?
It's a difficult situation, but PURC, what can they do? This is the stark reality that is facing everybody. So we must be able to make sure that we get these things fixed. But I don't blame PURC. That's the situation. And then I also understand the harsh economic realities of the time. So the balancing is where the difficulty lies. But I know we shall overcome.
We shall overcome. I love your optimism, Doc. I love your optimism. You're you're always so optimistic, and it's something that I feel all of us had a bit more of in terms of the dosage. But some quick issues I just want you to look at. So tied to that same situation, the Ghana Water Company Limited lost some 1 billion Ghana cedis in the last year under review in terms of state-owned enterprises. And some have said that we should focus on the ECGs, the Ghana Water Company Limiteds, and all the others that are not performing. We should privatize them. What is your quick take on that?
Privatization is a good thing, but we must work it very carefully, because otherwise the poor, the needy, the vulnerable, they will suffer the more. So much as we want to support that effort must also be put in place to make it better for the ordinary man. And that's where welfare policies come in. So that, yes, those who can afford will be in a better position to pay, and those who cannot, a little push or a little cushion would be appropriate for them, so that at the end of the day, people don't suffer too much.
My final bit to you before we get back to the Daily Graphic newspaper. It is interesting because the University of Ghana is said to owe power producer ECG up to about 33 million Ghana cedis. How do you think this happened? I mean, I know you are not the vice chancellor or anything of the sort, but I'm just asking, since you're in that institution, and I'm sure it's not just the University of Ghana, my own alma mater, but I'm wondering how institutions can be this indebted. Mind you, in recent times, even the finance ministry has been indebted to ECG, the Kotoka International Airport, among other state institutions. How do you think this happens, especially as you are semi-autonomous? And how do you feel an entity like the University of Ghana can be brought out of such circumstances?
It's a difficult one. I have no idea. As we got there, I have virtually no idea. So this one, spare me that. Not because I don't want to comment on it, but I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doc. Let's get back to the Daily Graphic. Enforcing city bylaws. 3,500 response team starts work. And the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council is deploying 3,500 member city response team across the region to enforce bylaws on sanitation and discipline, starting from Tuesday, April 19 this year. The first batch of 1,000 men and women who have completed a month's training at the Ghana Armed Forces Bundase training camp will be put to work in the Central Business District and some strategic parts of the national capital, Accra. Doc, I was one of those asking where the Greater Accra Regional Minister had gone in terms of, some of these things. Well, he's back. Are you excited?
Very much so, because a clean city gives us hope, and then we will be in the right environment to deliver. It is important that at a point in time we have leaders who said that, damn the consequence. I'm prepared to make sure that we have a very clean environment that will be supportive of productivity. I am for it. Except that some of these things, when you are carrying them out, you always must be mindful of the fact that there are rules of the game. Don't cross the line, just apply the rules and you'll be there. And I don't see why it is difficult for we as citizens not to abide by these rules. Because look, these laws are meant to regulate our conduct and to give us a better life. So why do you want to break them until somebody gets up and said, I want to enforce it? I am with the assembly. They should go ahead and make sure that these things are done. At the end of the day, the benefits will get to everybody.
The benefits will accrue to all of us. I have two quick stories that are tied to this whole bit about cleaning the city and maybe making the city overall better in terms of planning. The first one has to do with, I think it was on Monday. If you look at the Daily Graphic newspaper, one of the major issues there at the bottom left corner, they had a photo of cows, on our streets, major streets, the Graphic Road and others. Obviously, if we want to make Accra the cleanest city in Africa, we ought to tackle some of these menaces because they can cause accidents, they could gore somebody. I mean, so many things could happen. I'm sure you've encountered these before.
Exactly so. Yeah, a number of times. And this one, I blame the assembly. The assembly has not lifted its game, and that is why we have such difficulties. Because the bylaws regulating some of these things are there. Why are you not enforcing them? That amounts to what? Weak capacity of the state. The regulatory capacity of the state is that the state is given the power to make laws and enforce them. If we are not able to do them, then I'm afraid, why are you there? So the assembly, if they want to maintain cleanliness in the city, they must also ensure that these things get fixed.
And tied to that, the other story I want to bring up, Accra needs structural plan. That's according to a spatial planner. And that's on page 16 of today's Daily Graphic newspaper. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So, according to the acting chief executive officer of the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, LASPA, Kwadwo Yeboah, the management of developments in Accra would be difficult in the next 2 to 3 decades if efforts are not made to institute an effective land use and spatial plan to guide its physical growth and development. Now, you would realize, Doc, I mean, I'm sure you're fully aware, we inherited a certain planning regime from the colonial forces, the imperialist forces. And then there were pretty tight plans for Accra. Later, Nkrumah went on with the development of Tema, what it was meant to be. And then we seem to have lost the plot. It was anything goes, and now we have buildings sited on waterways and all kinds of things. We always complain, but it comes back to zero. I'm bringing this up because recently we shared something, hanging homes. And you go to the Kaswa-Weija stretch, and some of the hills there have developments. How those developments started, only God knows. But now there has been erosion to the point that, and that place is right on a fault line when it comes to earthquakes. Should the possibility of an earthquake or the possibility of a landslide or mudslide happening is really high. And if you look at the number of buildings there, you can tell what catastrophe would happen. It would block the road and chaos. What do you make of all of this? It appears every time we need a knee-jerk reaction.
I am always surprised that sometimes we have some of these things, buildings springing up. I ask myself whether we have planners in this country. Yes, but if we have such office here, why are we having difficulty in managing these things? I think that such officers must up their game so that we get these basics right. It is important. You don't need anybody to tell us that the state or the city must be planned. It is for our own benefit. If you look at even land, which is a very important factor of production, and we need it for all these structures, the use of it, I'm sure we are not putting it into effective use. Why are we using? Look at the space that we have. It can accommodate a lot of buildings, and we struggle to spread our buildings on the surface of lands, large tract of lands. Meanwhile, the airspace is there. Why are we not building into airspace and all that? Is it the case that we have so much in terms of land that we don't know the use? That's why we are wasting it. I think the proper planning must come in. And some of these things go a long way to undermine the beauty of the city. And then it also affects a whole lot of things, such as agricultural production and all that. I think the time is now for us to act very fast. If you tie this thing to issue of, cleanliness and then sanitation and all that, one of the reasons why the capital of Ghana was moved from Cape Coast to Accra was to make sure that, they realized that Accra was one of the cleanest places that you can find. So they moved it here. In addition to that, it was close to Agyapong, which is very healthy. Now, look at mismanagement and then lack of planning and all the rest to it. We have all the difficulties that we are having today. We need to go to the drawing board and get the basics right.
We need to go to the drawing board and get the basics right. My final story from the Daily Graphic, Doc. Europe turns to Nigeria to fill gap in gas supply. I found this interesting. One man's meat, they say, is another man's poison. Now, as Russia is going to lose, and the EU nations already had a plan pre the Ukrainian assault. They had a plan to lower their gas consumption from Russia. In fact, now it's been accelerated. So they're going to get about wean themselves of about two-thirds of the gas supply from Russia, which means that Russia is not necessarily going to get what it would have got from Europe. And if it has to export gas to other countries, it would be even more difficult with Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2, which hasn't even come into force. But in this instance, according to the EU ambassador to Nigeria, Samuela Isopi, together with France, Italy, Portugal, and Spain's ambassador, they have met with the management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company. And the EU is courting its first African liquefied natural gas supplier and hoping that these ties would result in gas flow. And Nigeria is one of the big boys, though. I think the fourth largest supplier when it comes to gas to Europe. This, everybody has said, is going to be a boon. But I guess all of us are cautious because I'm sure you know very well, Doc, when Nigeria discovered oil, I think somewhere in the 60s or 70s, everybody felt this would transform them. And then we saw what happened in the Niger Delta and all of that. How do you think Nigeria can capitalize on this geopolitical situation?
Kwame Nkrumah has put it right, and I always refer to it. Organization decides everything. Nigeria should be able to organize themselves very well and place itself in the right position to take advantage of this. This is a golden opportunity that they can't afford to miss it. They get it and build the economies so that other states will emulate such example. Of course, Ghana must also prepare itself if you have the capacity. Why not? So that one day, who knows, that somebody will knock out our door, and then we can also provide that service and then better economies. All that we need is that we should have a better preparation and get ourselves ready for any advantage that will come from such exercise.
Of course, Nigeria and Algeria are the biggest African liquefied natural gas suppliers to the old continent. But let's get into the Ghanaian Times newspaper now. Banner headline, carnage on roads. MTTD gets tough on highways as NSRA, I think that should be NRSA, National Road Safety Authority, launches Easter Stay Alive campaign. And when another celebratory season, our Muslim brothers and sisters are in the Ramadan and they'll soon get into the Eid, and we're already approaching Easter. Do you see any improvement? I mean, the figures, Doc, when it comes to the carnage on our roads, it's just about 4%, a little over 4%, different from what we saw in 2021. So nothing much to celebrate. But for me, I have seen quite a presence of MTTD officers here and there. They're getting more and more serious. Are you feeling the impact?
Certainly no. Why no? Because, you see, apart from being on the road to ensure that people comply with the road regulations, what is happening, what are we doing with regard to what? Faulty traffic lights. That is a source of what? Accident. They are all over. Take Accra. All over. I have said time and again, Holy Spirit Cathedral, when you are driving towards from the Electoral Commission, driving towards Accra Workers College, you have to use your own initiative and then drive through because there is no traffic. The light doesn't show. There are broken ones all over. Are they fixing it? And you can say that, yes, you'll be on the road, but traffic lights, you are not ready to work on it. For me, that will not amount to effective monitoring of the process. There are some roads that even there are no traffic lights at all, and accidents occur every day. What are they doing with regard to that? We have turned blind eye to these things, and yet we want to deceive ourselves into believing that we are fighting this, menace on our road. I'm sure we are not ready to fight it. Let's put it bluntly. If you want to get it done, we know how to do it.
Two quick stories from the Ghanaian Times, and it's a wrap. First, on page 15, revive Achimota School Sandals policy to empower Kumasi Shoe Factory. And then Nkrumah started a shoe factory. Of course, we know where that ended. But the board chairman of the Defense Industries Holding Company Limited, DIHOC Footwear Division, Dr. Carlaye, has appealed to the government to revive the policy of Achimota School Sandals, which was initiated in 2014 as part of efforts to empower the Kumasi Shoe Factory to supply sandals to all schools. I'll pause right there. But Maybe just to add, with approximately 100,000 state security personnel in the country, demand for more products, employee numbers will shoot from 200 to 800 within 5 years, he said. Doc, contemplate our security services, for example, the police, immigration, the armed forces, and all of that, the Navy, and you look at other state agencies, even when it comes to construction and all of that. Imagine if we had a hub, or at least a network, of shoe-producing entities which were supplying them rather than importing everything from China, for example. I mean, how do you think that would impact our economy? And what do you think about this call which seeks to revive the shoe production capacity of our country?
Brother, nobody should tell us that this is the way to go. The things that Nkrumah put in place, we have abandoned it and we are struggling here. In fact, for me, I see that Nkrumah lived way beyond his contemporaries. Because some of these things, he was able to figure it out, think that, look, the next 2 generations, they will need this thing. Let's quickly double our effort. We have abandoned this program, and now here we are. Imagine we are continuing. Look at the number of shoe factories that we are going to have. Our military, our police, and all that. We will not go to Czech Republic to buy shoes and get boots and all that. Look at, I traveled to Czech Republic. They had a company called Bacha, which produces a lot of shoes for their country, and Ghana.
Did you say the Czech Republic?
Yes, Czech Republic. That company belongs to the Czech. Bacha.
Bata, right? It's Bata, yes. Right? Yeah.
They pronounce it as Bacha, right? It's a factory that has lived many years. Why can't we maintain some of these things so that we can even prop up factories such as those who have in Kumasi and all that? I have a friend who does shoes in Accra here. I tell you, if you see the quality of shoe, you'll be amazed. There are some of such examples all over. We have not taken advantage of, and yet we import with hard currency and come and disturb our economy. Can't we begin to learn lessons from this and develop our own so that at the end of the day, we'll get a better market? As a little boy growing up, I saw Chinese sandals, all right? It was not the best, but they improve it from time to time, and it became the best. Now look at the products that are churned out from China. Amazing. We can also start and get there.
We can start from somewhere, definitely. And you know what amazes me? Even this story cites 1960, the period between 1960 and 1961, when Ghana actually signed an agreement with Czechoslovakia back then, not the Czech Republic, when it comes to exactly this point, shoe production. So you imagine 1961, we're in 2022, about 61 years on. You see why sometimes some people get frustrated with our country, because it appears we never learn and we just like to
we always go to sleep.
A lot of talk.
And then we come back and blame the system. We know how to fix it. Let's get it right.
Right. Let's get to the story. I want your quick take on it. It's on page 12 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Hung Parliament will erode winner-takes-all system. And I'm sure you've heard. The chairman of the governing board of Afrobarometer, Professor Emmanuel Jimabwedi, has intimated that for the country to erode the winner-takes-all system of governance, zero-sum game, he wishes the country continues to have hung parliaments. He explained that with a hung parliament, both the majority and minority would learn the habit of consensus building and cross-party consultation to strengthen democratic politics. Just to quote a bit of what he says, I pray for more hung parliaments. I think that this is exactly what Ghana and the citizenry wants so as to deepen democratic politics needed, and that is the kind of cure that we need for winner takes all. Is that a cure? A hung parliament?
Well, certainly. I have said it also, and the professor has also, added his voice to some of these. I've said it time and again, that looking at the type of parliament that we have, where you have majority who always have their way, and they will not take into consideration the views of minority. Let us look at democracy from the perspective that, look, you are talking about majority rule and minority interest. Your ability to balance the two makes it better. So people get their high numbers and then they walk over the minority and all that. We need more, and I support the call by the professor that we need more so that, yes, we'll be able to sit down and talk, build consensus, and decide things that is in the interest of the state, than not, going along party lines which sometimes some of their needs are not necessarily the interest of the people. We need such parliament so that at the end of the day, what is so important is what we will put our energies to than what wasting our time on party things which tend to satisfy only few people and leaving everybody in difficult situation. I support hung parliament. It should be something that we get it all the time. Ghanaians want it. That is why they have voted that way. And I'm sure that we are going to get such occurrences as we go along. Because we are getting skirt and blouse voting. That's another phenomenon that is also increasing with amazing rapidity. I hope and pray that we can get, whilst we get hang parliament, we get skirt and blouse, so that at the end of the day, whoever is not performing, any non-performing MP will be thrown out, and those who can do the work will come in and then help us. That's all.
Right. The Daily Guide newspaper now, Professor Duncan announces $2 million for world peace. That's a story that we brought you yesterday. Nana pledges more support for education, and tied to that, government awards scholarships to 47,160 students. There's also Rebecca calls for urgent action against NCDs. And this story that I want to get into, masked men attack NUST students, or KNUST students. Now, some students of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology have been robbed in their hostel rooms at Ayeduase new site in Kumasi by 3 masked men. What happened? The students were fast asleep in their rooms when the gun-wielding robbers forced the doors open and took away 3 laptop computers, a tablet, and 4 mobile phones. One of the students was said to have been injured in the incident, which occurred on April 7, 2022 at about 2:30 a.m., having been hit by a pellet at his occiput. The police said. These robberies on campuses, I know being back in the day in the University of Ghana, it was also, from time to time, especially in the hostels and sometimes in the main halls. How do you think, especially as you are in the system, what more can be done to prevent them?
What do we need to support the security people to be able to deal with these things? Let us admit that in spite of the difficulties that the security have in terms of resources, the little that they have, they've been able to stand up and defend us all the time. Sometimes some of these issues come up and then, it creates problems. But I know that the right approach, they will be able to handle this in no time. Sometimes a caution must be served onto the students who bring, all manner of people to campus. That people who are not supposed to be there, you encourage them, they come, and then they create all manner of problems for authorities in the school. For the authorities in the school, I know that they are always alert, making sure that the right, things are put in place to safeguard the lives of people on campus. But sometimes the problem is students. They bring people that the school do not welcome them. You don't know the identities and all that. And the time you realize, they create problems for us. I believe that I trust our security. They will be able to deal with this and then help us to put in proper measures that will stand the test of time.
Right. You have some fans on social media, Doc. So some people who are watching us are very excited by your contributions. One of them is your former student. He says, Pius Beidu, fantastic contributions from my former political science lecturer, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. And he says it reminds him of his political science days. So you have a former student who is lauding you on our Facebook live stream. Let's look at the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Kennedy Agyapong joins race for NPP's 2024 slot. NPP will reward committed party members. Ameyawe Kumfi says so. And Kandapa did not say judges should rule on party lines. That's according to Colonel retired Bevelo Lati. Let's start with the Kennedy Agyapong joins race for NPP's 2024 slot. Pictured there, Kennedy Agyapong, Jogate, Alan Tremanting, and Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the vice president. I heard the finance minister in recent times talk about the fact that Dr. Bawumia, especially on the back of his recent lecture in Kasua, has dignified himself, clothed himself with what is needed to take over as president. We also know that the same party has said that people shouldn't, especially bigwigs in the party, shouldn't say such things that seem to show leanings towards supporting this or that person. How do you feel about that entire development? And how do you also feel about Kennedy Agyapong joining the fray?
Let's start with Kennedy Agyapong. Are we sure that he has said that he wants to join the race? We need to be clear about this. If he has said that, fine, then we can go ahead and then, try to look at the issue and discuss them. But if that is the case, there's nothing wrong. He has served the party, he has a lot of following, and he's a committed member of the NPP. So such a person, if you want to stand, you realize that he has a lot of large following who follow him and then help him to win the election. But there's one thing, joining and then contesting, and another thing, winning. So let's see how it pans out, and it will be an interesting contest that I would love to see. The issue of, the party themselves, party leadership of the NPP coming out to set rules that regulate conduct of people with regard to how they can approach elections and all that. And they themselves coming out, of course, not all of them, some of them coming out to undermine the very institutions that they set for themselves. For me, that is a worrying situation, because this is the time for everybody to help within the party, to help the party to build to be able to develop the country. Elections is nothing but contest of ideas and then the referendum of your work. What work are you going to stand on to campaign if you don't support the government to deliver? All right. Look at the number of campaign promises this government gave. This is the time to help the government to honor all those promises, because 2024 accountability time is that,
right.
And people will call the government to question that you promised this, have you delivered? So I believe that the time we find ourselves in within the party, those members of the party, is to be able to help deliver the public good, and that will help them to break the gate than unnecessarily jostling for position and all that. They need to work. They need to work.
They need to work. In the next few minutes, Doc, I want us to just dilate on a few more issues, relevant ones, and there are quite a number of them, but I'll try to squeeze them in. Kandapaa did not say judges should rule on party lines. That's according to Gbevelu Lartey. If you look at Republic Press today, Kandapaa under fire for bizarre admonishment to judges. Both stories tied. I'm sure you've heard him. He said in recent times that the judiciary should, be balanced so that it doesn't appear you're always ruling in favor of the governing administration. But some have taken him on, the likes of Aikwe Otu, a party bigwig. Your very quick take on that.
I listened with rapt attention. And what he said is a conditional, all right, that if this thing happened, this is what will happen, all right. So for me, looking at where the minister sits, the kind of information that comes to his desk, if he's giving us a caution, why are we attacking him? It is important for such a big person within government to come and speak to such issues so that we can follow through. For me, for the judges, I'm not sure anybody can convince them to, decide along certain lines. No, they know their work and they will always deliver. I believe that is why we call them justices. They will be fair to the issues that are before them. So for me, it's no problem. And that I am happy that you have such a huge personality within government, such as the security minister, telling us that, look, let us be careful, and that if we have this condition, it will lead to this. For me, it is an early warning signal that we should take that advice in our stride and build on so that we have a solid democratic system.
Right. The Ghanaian Publisher newspaper, government settles 100 million Ghana cedi NHIS debt, and Gbevelu Lartey defends Kandapaa. Also, minister worried about indiscipline on our roads. And there is this one, the final newspaper, Kumasi Shoe Factory opens first showroom in Accra, almost in response to the discussion we were having. Demo to hit Gimpa over 1,000 Ghana cedi annual car parking fee imposed on students. Then there's government pays 100 million arrears owed NHIS. I just mentioned that. But interesting, tied to what you were saying about reckless driving and the authorities not doing enough. 1,299 drivers without license arrested in 2021, an increase of 111% over 2022. So you see, Doc, It goes back to some of the very things you were talking about. And the Daily Statesman Agenda 111 Hospital project kicks off at Yagaba. I want to wrap with two issues. Just if you can take a quick stab at them for me. One, Oliver Barker-Vormawor, convener of Fix the Country, says he was tortured while in police custody. That is one. I want you to address that. He says he'll be giving details, hopefully, of that. And there's also the current youth unemployment rate, which has hopped from the figure of around 2017 to 2020 was around 9%. Now it's around 18.9%, 19.8%, I should say. It's a jump of about 118%. Your quick reactions to these two, torture and unemployment, very quickly.
First, torture. I think Vormawor has said that he will go to hold a press conference for us to have all the details. I think we have to wait patiently because for now, it's a level of accusation. We want the details, and then we want to also see the response of the police so that we can interrogate the issues properly. So for me, I want to hold on and then get the two parties to come out so that we can make sense of what is happening, right? The second issue about the
unemployment.
Please, what's the second issue?
Unemployment.
Unemployment, yes.
Has risen by...
We always pay lip service to this problem. That, if you see various manifestos, the NPP, NDC, they promise us heaven and earth that will deal with unemployment and all that. Let us be fair to them. That when they come to office, you see semblance of that being done, providing certain jobs and all that, people getting. But see, we need to double our effort because the rate at which we churn out what students from universities, technical universities and whatnot, we need to factor that into the way we create jobs. Otherwise, we are going to have a large army of the youth marauding through our streets without having jobs. And that is a difficulty that we don't need to have, given the circumstances we find ourselves.
Thank you so much, Doc. That's an issue that we'll have on the chopping block when we dig into our big stories today. But thank you so much for your company this Wednesday morning. God bless you, sir.
I'm grateful.
Right. We'll be heading into sports up next, but a very happy birthday to Anastasia Edu. You're a wonderful person. Today's your birthday. God richly bless you and grant you the best in life. Up next, sports. Stay.